And since it's 12 inches long, we'll mark it at the 6-inch line. Half of this tube will be our front axle and the other half will be our back axle. To cut our brass tube, we could use a metal saw or we could use this nice little tubing cutter. We'll slip the brass rod into the tubing cutter and we'll place it at the mark, and then we'll adjust the knob to where it's just beginning to press down onto the tube. We rotate the tube, and after a rotation or two we tighten the screw, rotating it again and tightening the screw, and we keep doing this process until the brass tube snaps in half. And now we have the rear axle and the front axle. We're ready to assemble our axles and rubber washers onto the chassis. We'll insert one of our axles into the big side of one of the rubber washers, like this, and slide the rubber washer about 1 inch onto the axle. We'll place one of the steel washers over it, and then we'll place this assembly into the front or rear position of the chassis, place another steel washer on the other end, and then a rubber washer will slide on carefully, and we'll slide it up to where we have about 1/8 inch of play that this axle can go back and forth. Once we have the axle and rubber washer assembly on the chassis, we'll check and make sure that we have the same length of tubing sticking out on each side. If necessary, you can move the rubber washers to one side or the other to adjust this length. With the other axle, we'll repeat the process for the rear of the vehicle. As you can see, our chassis is done now with the axles inserted, and now we're ready for our CD wheels to be prepared to put onto the axis. To prepare them, we'll insert one of our rubber washers into the middle